Well, hello folks. Welcome to Thuy and Edith Argue. Another episode where two buddies go at it, so to speak.
Buddies.
I'm not going to say the F word because we are not friends.
I would not call us buddies.
Bum buddies.
That's a very loosely used buddies.
Hi Tweedle.
Hi.
How are you? I noticed you're wearing a Spartan shirt.
Yes.
Again.
I didn't know if I've sported this one before because I have
think
so many
I
of them.
actually like that one. I don't think I've seen that one before.
Every year they do like a different design, and then out of all the designs, there's a sprint version. The middle one is called the super, and then obviously the biggest one, which is the beast. So I'm sporting the sprint one today, whatever year this was.
The sprint, it says, don't say a date, 28 obstacles, that's all it says.
20 obstacles.
And finish it. It says 20. Why do I always think the zero's an 8?
I don't know. You need glasses.
I do need glasses. Vision Works, right?
Yes.
Or what's the
Lens
other one?
Crafters.
Is that the one with the owl?
I don't know.
Anyway.
What about your shirt? What are you wearing there?
My shirt, it says, I love sarcasm. It's like punching people in the face, but with words.
Wow.
I thought I would sport this one, seeing as our topic today is going to be about Mr. Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Yes.
We wanted to talk about Jerry Springer because, well, one of our producers suggested it. It was actually mentioned in a video that Edith and I had done recently. If you haven't already checked it out, I think it's pretty funny. It's called Sarasota Love. If you go on YouTube, look up Life of Thuy, and we do a little shout out to Jerry Springer.
Yes, we do. One of our local heroes, huh?
Heroes?
Yeah,
Is he a hero?
I liked Jerry Springer a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not just his show, but him in person.
Okay.
I've met, obviously you've met him too. We met Jerry. He was a very nice man.
He was a nice
peace.
man in person.
Yes, he was.
Not that I had lunch with him all the time or chit-chatted with him, but the few interactions that I had with him, he seemed just very down-to-earth kind of person.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, also he remembered my name after not seeing me for months and months and months. The next time I waited on him, he remembered my name, which his wife, Vicky, I believe her name was.
I think Mickey.
Mickey?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very shocked that he remembered my name because he didn't remember much, she said. But, so I was like, yes, I made an impression on Jerry.
Wow.
Yes.
That was one of the things with me too, is that he remembered my name. He's probably met you more than me because I wasn't at Patrick's as much.
Uh-huh.
And maybe, I don't know, he doesn't run into a lot of Asian bartenders.
Possibly.
In downtown Sarasota.
Right.
But I came up to his table. I know you're not supposed to do that. That's like the number one rule. Don't bug people when they're out eating with their family. Right. But it was, I forget what it was, maybe like the day after New Year's. And literally he was just walking up and down Main Street, Sarasota, decided to stop in for lunch. And I think he got up to use the restroom. But then on his way back, he stopped.
Chased him down.
No, he stopped at the bar to say hi to me. He remembered me from before. So I was said, hi, Mr. Springer. And then that was when I asked him for a picture because I'd met him before, but didn't really ask him for a picture. But it was kind of cool that he remembered me. He was like trying to remember. Then he's like, Thuy. And I go, yeah. So that was kind of cool. Then we took a little picture. That was it. And then he just went right back to his table to sit down and have brunch with his family. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They loved the chili.
It's not like he had a huge entourage or.
No. But when he did walk around the streets down Sarasota, people would be chanting, Jerry, Jerry.
Really?
Yeah. So you know he was
that.
Around.
Oh, geez.
And he'd just smile, laugh it off. Yeah.
Well, I want to say, I thought it was like last year, but it's actually been almost 2 years now because we're in 2025 since he passed away.
Yeah, so April will be 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, pancreatic cancer.
Yes.
It's a bad one. Any of the C's are bad.
Right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
He was 79, so at least he got, I mean,
a long while.
That's young, but it's not young. I mean, he lived like a good long life, I would say, and filled with a lot of events.
Very eventful life, I'd say.
Right.
He used to be the mayor of Cincinnati.
Right.
But only for a year. But I mean,
I knew he was mayor of somewhere, but I didn't realize it was such a well-known city as Cincinnati. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, big city, but only for a year. He was mayor from 77 to 78, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, just for a year.
But before that, he was a councilman.
Really?
Yeah, I believe he was in, I don't want to say like politics per se, but he was a public figure with public service. And he was a councilman. I don't know the official title, but then because of a little scandalous incidents, he basically resigned.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do you know what the scandalous incident was?
Do you?
I do not.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I do.
What was it?
Apparently, there was a facility. I don't know if it was a spa or something, but there was a location that Jerry went to and paid for sex.
He did not.
He did. And he actually, here's the thing that kind of, in essence, like makes him likable, like relatable, right? Because I don't know how often he frequented it, but he did admit that he paid for sex twice. And he wrote checks. He wrote checks for the sex.
So if you want to get caught, what did he put in the memo?
Don't know. Public service? I have no idea. And I don't know if it was...
Services rendered.
I'm not quite certain if it was the funds of the city or the county or if it was his own. But regardless, just the fact that he went there, right? And he is somewhat of a public figure. Obviously, that's very scandalous. And he himself resigned.
I suppose it's scandalous of sorts, but I mean, sex workers, it's a job. You know, it's a profession that they have. If he went there and paid someone for their services, why is it a scandal just because it's Jerry Springer?
Because this was a council person. This was someone
They'll do it without writing checks, you know. Sometimes they don't even pay them, you know. It's just like, hey, I'm a figurehead of some sort. Do you want to take me to bed for free? He paid at least. He paid. It wasn't like
it was something
using his celebrity to get it for free.
It was something where I read where one of the times, I don't know which was which, right? But one of them was for $25 and the other check was for $50.
$75? What's he doing? Having a kiss?
Well, no, this is in 1974.
Oh, so
this
that's
is like
expensive?
I don't know.
$25 and $50. Whatever he had the first time, he had 2 lots the second time.
Who said it has to be like expensive?
I'm just saying $50 for a BJ. $25 for a BJ. It's kind of cheap.
I don't know exactly what the price
range is
for.
Come on, Thuy, you know.
For sex workers back then, but
today it's more. You know that now.
I don't know. I don't know the inflation rates either, Edith. You seem to be pretty well versed.
I have no idea, me. No, I don't know. No idea.
Well, Jerry actually, years later, when he was running for mayor, maybe, you know, some things came out in his campaign. Obviously, he knows that the other sides, his opponents, are going to bring out all the smut on you. So he basically owned up to it and said, yes, that did happen. It wasn't my proudest, you know, this is not verbatim, by the way, but he said it wasn't like my proudest moment, but he owned up to it. And in a sense, I'm glad he did, because there's so many times we all do things wrong.
Deny.
Yeah. That, you know,
till the blue in the face, Mr. Clinton.
and I think that was one of the things that made him or helped him to win because he basically owned up to it. And
Honesty
then
is the best policy.
and that's what he said.
Right.
He said, I'm gonna be honest with all of you. Yes, it wasn't my proudest, brightest moment, but I did pay for sex.
So while he was doing the Springer show, also, apparently some of the guests on there, he had relations with. 3 of the guests. 3 guests. There's a Netflix special on the Jerry Springer. It's like 2 shows, like an hour long, both of them.
Okay.
And in one of those, it says that there was some strippers, I believe, that came to the show that were on the show, and he went back and hung out with 3 of them, and there were photographs and stuff. So it looked like he were having a good old time. But it shocked me when I read that, like when I saw that on the show. Like,
but what if they were just stripping? What if it wasn't actual?
Well, one of the pictures, he did have his tongue down the throat, and he was strapped to a bed. So maybe they were just stripping, but they were touching him.
Why were they doing this at the studios?
I don't think it was at the studio. I think they went to a hotel somewhere. It wasn't like in the green room.
That's what I thought that you're saying that the guests were there and then
they were on the show. They appeared on the show, and then afterwards, back in the hotel, things occurred. Which, you know, he was single, right? He wasn't married.
Was he at
Mickey
the time?
was his ex.
Hopefully.
I hope so. In my head, I'm saying that he was, because I still like Jerry Springer.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't know stuff like that happened.
Well, neither did I till I watched the documentary.
Did they say on the documentary that his show originally started as a political, like, debate or discussion show?
It wasn't a political show, but it wasn't the brawl that we know Jerry Springer to be. But it started off just as a regular daytime chat show, like he was just a talk show host. But the producer, I think he was called Richard Dominic, he was like, this is boring. We're not going to get anywhere. It needs to be stepped up. Otherwise, he says, we want things to be, we want our audience, if they're watching on TV, when they turn the TV on, like you're flicking through channels, they want people to say, hey, what was that? Let's go back. Let's see what's happening there. What's this? So, like, I think the first thing was some woman who refused to wear clothes. So she would just sat on stage, like, butt naked with big old Bramley apples that were obviously fake because they were just so bouncy and big. But yeah, so
she was just like a nudist who walked around the city like that.
I'm not certain if she walked around the city, but like when they went to the screen, when they showed it on the TV, she was just sat there in a pair of boots, which Jerry said, I like your boots. It's got nothing else on. He's a funny man.
Yeah, I heard that when the producer changed, then they changed the direction of the show. That it wasn't originally supposed to be that trash TV.
Yeah.
But I thought it was, like maybe a political or something like that.
I don't think it were political. It was just a regular talk show.
He had guests on there such as Oliver North and I believe the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
So political figures he had on there.
Possibly.
Maybe to discuss.
He was very political.
Maybe to discuss like current affairs.
Possibly. It didn't really go into any other than it started off as just a regular talk show.
Right.
And then they had to amp it up a little.
Wow. Talk about amping it up a little.
Right?
Jeez.
So at one point it took over the ratings, it became the number one show to watch over Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
It beat out Oprah.
That was the huge thing. Oprah was the queen of talk show for the longest time. And then here comes Jerry
with his trash TV. That's what she said.
Right.
Yeah. She said it was...
he started a new category.
Huh?
He started a new category that didn't exist.
He did. right?
It was the inspiration for shows like Maury, and then later on, obviously,
I think Maury was already on, was it not?
If it was, that wasn't the direction though. But
No.
they said that it was the inspiration for Maury, and then later on, obviously, his bodyguard / bouncer on the show, Steve Wilkos. Then he had a spin-off, and the Steve Wilkos show.
But he tries to lessen the fighting and stuff. He tells them not to touch each other. If you go near her, you're gonna be skedaddling. But yeah, it's Jerry's spin-off.
Steve Wilkos was interviewed, and I don't know if it was on that documentary, but he thought that it was going to be a one-time gig. I believe he was hired for what Jerry's show thought was going to be really controversial, which was having transvestites on the show. And it was their first time having that topic on the show. And I'm pretty sure that was correct. You know, I'll have to like look it up to make sure, but it was something controversial. So they said, you know, we need to have kind of padded up security, right? So they hired Steve Wilkos, who was a former Chicago cop and a former Marine. You know, if you ever look at him and see him, he's a big dude, right? So they had him on the show. They hired him, and he thought like, oh, okay, it's easy money. And he just really thought it was going to be a one-time gig. Do it, make your presence known, and then that's it. But then he became on there big regularly, guy, and obviously Steve, he actually attributed Jerry for his career because he got paid. Yeah, everyone knew who he was, and then he got his show
because everyone would be like, "Steve, sort this guy out."
Right.
Yeah.
And at Jerry's funeral, so Steve was saying that Jerry was genuinely just a very nice man.
He really was a very nice guy.
Even though he made a lot of big mistakes.
He made a couple of mistakes that we know of right now. The strippers in the hotel and paying for
the sex workers.
Yes. Twice. So maybe 3 mistakes in 79 years. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Wow.
Right.
So you're pretty forgiving.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Jerry.
You're pretty compassionate.
I mean, well, who's he hurting? He's helping someone out, maybe getting a degree, helping them go through college or whatever, you know. He helped them and he relieved himself. It was a stress relief.
Oh, my goodness.
Stress relief.
Edith.
Stress relief. Maybe you needed to sleep. If you bust a nut, it helps you sleep. I've been told. I don't have any nuts to bust.
Oh, my goodness, Edith.
What? What? You don't know these things? I know you know, Thuy.
Edith is very controversial.
Am I?
Edith.
Thuy.
I found this out, and I think that because you like him so much, you're so fond of Mr. Springer. Did you know where Mr. Springer was born?
He was born in England.
Yes. So you knew that.
I did know that.
Yep.
Yes.
He was born during World War II, and he was born, I believe, in a shelter. His mom was giving birth to him in a shelter that was being used to house people under the German bombing.
Yeah, because he was Jewish, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's crazy.
I know. And then they moved to Chicago. Yes.
I did. Wow, you knew that about him. Okay.
Yes.
And
trivia.
I believe he had some family members. Let's see, his grandmother. He had some family members, his ancestry, that did die in the Nazi concentration camps.
Yeah. And on the in the documentary, it did mention that his family were killed by the Nazis because he had Klansmen on there on one of the episodes. He had the Ku Klux Klan on there, and then he had some Jewish leader come on also. They were both sat on the same stage right next to each other.
You know what? That was that episode that Steve was there. Sorry, it was not transvestites. Yeah. It was the KKK.
Yeah, and as soon as the Jewish leader came on, brawling as soon as they stepped on the stage. Wow. there were a lot of fighting in that episode. Chairs being thrown and everything.
But see, I understand emotion and rage. I mean, we're human, so when we feel it, it's just primal instinct, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what about in that documentary? Did any of the producers or people backstage admit that they were kind of getting these guests riled up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They admitted
That's what they said. In fact, it stressed one guy out so much, he ended up quitting. Like, it took a toll on him. His father, the producer's father was, he worked on Saturday Night Live. So,
Okay.
like, he did things on there, producing TV, and he would say to his son, this is television. What you're doing is not television. This is not good work, what
Right.
you're doing. So that obviously took a toll on him too. He said he didn't speak to his dad for like 4 years or something from working on the show. There were
Right.
another producer who was saying that it was so stressful, but they had to, like, a lot of people think that it was staged, like these people were all acting and it wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the producers, she was saying that if they didn't have real stories on there, they would lose their jobs. So, like, she actually did lose her job when she was saying, okay, so there's from up Mississippi, Ohio, Kentucky, there were like this triangle, which they called the Springer Triangle, which was where most of their guests came from in this area. It was like little small towns, you know.
Right.
So
Wow.
she was saying that one guest that she had on there, or a couple of guests that she had on there that was supposed to be some kind of love triangle, they came from Boston. And she says she should have known because none of Jerry Springer's guests come from Boston. But these were all faking it, you know, like she said that one guy threw a punch and it missed the other guy, but he threw himself back, you know, like he'd been punched in the face. And she was shocked, and she said that Jerry threw his cards, like, what's going on? What's this crap? You know, he wanted it to be 100% authentic,
Right.
real.
Right.
So, like, people who did go, like in the documentary, it's saying that the producers found these people, and then when they'd come, they'd get them riled up, whatever their story was. Like, some girl's sister had stole a boyfriend. He'd be like, your sister's a total bitch. Why would she do that to you? What do you feel about that? How can she do that to you? You know, like,
Right.
proper rile them up. And he said that he would throw chairs across the green room, you know, like getting them all amped up. And once they were all like proper psyched, he'd be like, okay, you're on. Get on stage. Let it all out on there.
Wow.
But yeah, it's an interesting documentary, actually. It's not so much about Jerry himself as opposed to it being about the show and the people on the show and the producers and how it was. Yeah, like one of the guests that had been on there, she were talking on the documentary saying that, yeah, they sent a limousine for us. So they went from their home, wherever it was, to the limousine had come and pick them up, take them to the airport, they'd get on the plane, they'd get picked up by a limousine, and then they'd be given, she said they were given drink cards. So, like, they gave them an abundance of money to go out and get fired up the night before the show.
Oh, wow.
Like, she was saying that we didn't get to bed till like 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then at 5 o'clock, the producers came and woke us up and took us off to the show and then got them all riled up while they're hungover, lack of sleep, and ready to brawl.
Wow. Good tactics there.
But you remember there was one woman from Florida. I'm certain it was even Sarasota that she was from.
Okay.
Her husband was from Germany, and he started beating her or whatever, so she got divorced from him, and then she ended up going on the show because she wanted him back. He was then married to somebody else, which I don't think this woman knew about, but the guy and his new wife were on the stage, And she was on there, and he's saying, I don't want you. I'm married to this woman, and we're going to live happily ever after. So she's like, okay, fine, I'm going. So she just got up and walked off stage.
Yeah.
And the producer says to her, if you don't go back out and finish the show, you have no ticket to get home. Like, they're not going to pay for her flight back home. So she didn't go back out on stage, and she would just wander in the streets until some nice Samaritan got her a bus ticket back home. But then the husband and wife team killed her.
Okay. I was wondering where you were going with that. I wonder if that was the same thing that I was reading, but the details that I got was that husband and new wife, supposedly their allegations were that the former wife was stalking them and trying to basically not, she was upset that he remarried and wouldn't really leave them alone. Mm-hmm. And so I guess they followed her back to her house. And again, I don't know how much details and how much time has passed, and killed her in her house. And it's the only homicide that has happened because of this show.
You can't say it was because of the show.
Well,
I mean, they appeared on the show, and it happened after the show.
That's associated with the show, affiliated with the show.
Yeah.
But that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a little scary, that is, right? But I mean, these people that appeared on the show, they're obviously not, I mean, I don't want to say they're not all together there, but they must have a couple of screws loose somewhere, right? Firstly, to go on there and air whatever it may be.
All your dirty laundry.
Yeah, dirty. Right, that it's not even going to come clean. No matter how many times you wash it, it's not coming clean.
And they want their 15 minutes of fame.
Maybe that's exactly what it was.
It is.
Yeah, it was very entertaining.
Oh, see, you're saying entertaining. I got so anxious when I would watch, and I didn't really even watch.
Why would you get anxious?
Because it would be, so at its prime, I mean, that's what I call it, but like at its prime was like maybe like late 90s and like early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Jerry's show ran for, I want to say 20 seasons. And I would be going to class. I'd be in college. And then when I come home, you just turn the TV on, and I didn't have all the fancy channels, but I just turned the TV on, whatever that was. I forget, like Fox or whatever it was on. And I would have it on as like background noise as I'm cooking or doing my studying and stuff. And then as soon as I hear that chanting, Jerry, and then just the anxiety, like the stories, people yelling and just so stressed out, like, you stole my boyfriend and blah, blah. And it's like the stepmom, and it's such messed up family dynamics. And it just gave me so much anxiety. I had to change the channel or turn it off. I didn't want to hear about all that stuff. Meanwhile, Edith thinks it's entertaining.
It was entertaining. Otherwise, it would not have been the #1 rated TV show, right?
It's entertaining for people who thrive off of drama. That's you. See? Edith loves gossip.
It's not so much the gossip.
And drama.
I was like thinking, oh, man, just punch them in the face. Just do it already. Punch them.
So for you, it was like watching a WWE, WWF wrestling match.
Uh-huh.
Then watch that. Then watch boxing.
No, because the WWE is staged. It is fake. This is not. This is real.
They're riling them up. So in a sense, it's a little bit staged.
No, they're just getting them worked up. They're just working them up to get all their aggression out on stage. You have to give us a show, or else go home. Why did you come? You know you're going to get punched in the face.
So it's therapy.
Yes. It's healing.
It's healing. Jerry Springer has helped heal so many families.
Yes.
Nothing was resolved from that. They got their anger out, maybe. Mm-hmm. Nothing's changed.
You don't know, because Jerry always gave them wisdom afterwards at the end of the show. He'd tell them, look, You're better than that. Don't be with this guy. He's not worth it. He don't treat you well. He'd tell them that. He'd be straight with them. And he would be straight with them. If they didn't want to listen to Jerry, then that was on them. Because, you know, a lot of these people that go on there, they're like, I'm going to give him another chance. He didn't mean it. He won't do it again.
So then maybe Jerry's show also gave birth to Dr. Phil's show.
Possibly. They were saying that it gave birth to the reality shows today.
Right.
Like all these reality shows that are on TV today.
Yep.
Because a few of them battle on there too. Like, you know, they'll come to blows after staying in a house with some stranger for 30 days that pisses you off because they'll leave a wet towel on the floor or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he gave birth to all that
right?
housewives of Orange County and all that stuff.
Right. New Jersey,
Smut
where
TV.
TG tipped a table over from her aggression. There's a new one that I just started watching. Well, I only started watching it, but did you ever watch Tosh.0?
Ages ago.
Yeah. Well, obviously that got cancelled, but Daniel Tosh, he's the host of one of these shows called The Goat. Which I just had to watch because Daniel Tosh is so funny. I love Daniel Tosh, so
he's mean.
I decided to watch.
That's why you like him.
He's mean?
Yes.
What do you mean he's mean?
He's one of those comics that makes fun of everything and everyone. So he's
that's
a mean
what comedy's about, right?
Not necessarily.
Everyone, everything, and everyone.
There's comedians that just have observational humor, or they make fun of themselves, self-deprecating. They don't necessarily make fun of other people. Daniel Tosh is, don't get me wrong. I find some of his stuff humorous, but he is mean. That's why Edith likes him.
He's a comedian. Take it with a pinch of salt.
I'm not saying I'm offended or anything. I'm just saying he's mean. Whatever. Anyways, he's a host of Goat.
The Goat.
Right.
Which is it's another challenge show, like competitive. The people in the house compete to down to one to win $200,000 or something like that.
Okay.
And they have to do little things in between, and they get to vote people off. And
okay.
Just because I saw Daniel Tosh, that's why I decided to watch it. But the celebrities that they have on there are winners from other reality shows like The Survivor and 90 Day Fiance or whatever, you know.
Right.
So all these people that have won something or that have been on certain shows before, they're all competing to be the greatest of all time reality celebrity or whatever. So that's the whole premise of that show.
And he probably has a ball just commentating.
I had a ball listening to him commentate. Like, he'd get dressed up. At one point, he dressed up as Lisa Rinna with a wig and leopard suit, the whole shebang with a purse, and he stood outside. He started shouting out things from Real Housewives shows, like all the sayings that they said, like
right,
dirty bitch whore, or all kinds of stuff. It was just so funny. It was comical. I enjoyed it.
Did you know that Jerry never watched his own show?
I didn't know that.
He would obviously be there for all the tapings and stuff, but never went back and watched any of them.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably caused him anxiety too.
Probably would.
And then also his daughter, if you were looking up stuff about him, I don't know if they talk about this in the documentary. It really doesn't have anything to do with his show, but just about his life. But his daughter, Katie Springer, she's legally blind and partially deaf.
Okay. I knew she had a disability. I'm not sure what it was, but...
Right. And she is 48 or 49 years old and has kids, or maybe one kid, maybe one son.
Because she got married, right? Mm-hmm. I remember Jerry going on the Dancing with the Stars. He was on there one year, saying that he was doing it because he wanted to dance with his daughter at the wedding.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, quick side note with that is while he was on Dancing with the Stars, that's when Steve Wilkos would kind of stand in more for Jerry on his show, which eventually led to him getting his own show.
I see. And Steve Wilkos, his wife is the producer of that, right?
Oh, that I don't know.
Yeah.
The
his
producer
wife
of his
is
show?
the producer, yeah.
Okay. Well, with Katie, his daughter, she, because of her dad and all the controversy and stuff, she just wanted to kind of lay low and stay out of the spotlight. So she has a quote unquote like more of a normal life.
Yeah.
And she's actually a special needs teacher.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
helps out.
Yeah, the only thing that was said about his daughter in the documentary was there was the Chicago media, and one guy from the media up there was saying his piece on Jerry Springer and the whole show and ratings and everything. And he read a letter that Katie had written them because they were all like, Jerry Springer's trash, his show's trash, you know, like they were slagging him off and stuff. So she wrote a letter saying, you guys don't know my dad, and that's not how he is, and he's doing a job, and his show might be trash, but that's not my father, you know, like
Right.
it was a really sweet letter that she wrote to them,
Right.
telling them to shut up.
There were many people that wanted his show to be canceled,
Yeah.
pulled off the air.
Of course there were.
He had his first season was in Cincinnati, but then he moved the show to a studio in Connecticut. Why Connecticut? I don't know. Maybe he had like a second home there at the time, but the local people there in that city in Connecticut were like, no, they didn't want him coming here. They didn't want him to produce his show there. It was a little bit of an uproar.
I wonder why.
Because it was so
Crazy.
Yeah, it
Just
might not
because
be
the
him,
guests
but
were crazy.
his show. Well, he's inviting it.
It worked for many, many, many years.
It was like
It
when
worked.
back in the day, Romans would come to the Colosseum to watch brawls and fights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just wanted to see all the violence.
The blood and gore.
They wanted to see someone get hurt. That was what
Yeah.
they were hoping for.
Yeah.
But Jerry is, as some of you might know, but we'll emphasize it again, he was a resident of Sarasota eventually. So he lived in the Chicago area. He was in New York when he first immigrated from London. His family lived in New York for a time, and he was a Sarasota resident. He lived right there on Bird Key.
Yeah.
I remember going on one of the LaBarge cruises, which is a cruise that goes up and down the Intercoastal here in Sarasota, and they would point out the Jerry Springer
Springer's
house.
Yeah.
And little known fact, we know that it's pink. It's very easy to spot when you're on that cruise, or if you have your own little pontoon or your own boat and you're going
Going out.
around. But one of the things that people might not know is, well, why is it pink? Did he buy it like that, or did he paint it? He supposedly painted it pink for his daughter because that's her favorite color.
Oh,
So that's a nice
see?
little...
He's such a nice man. A pink house. Just for his daughter.
I've learned
Nice
to like
man.
pink. But yeah, he liked going to the Van Wezel. He frequented Lido Beach and would like to take walks, sunset walks along Lido. And he would visit the local restaurants and shops.
Yeah.
As you heard Edith and I tell the stories earlier,
Yeah.
such as Patrick's, and eat the chili.
He loved the chili. He always got a bowl of chili. He loved it.
Right.
Mm.
One last thing that I wanted to tie in and share with you, because I think this is, again, it's funny because it has to do with London. But
London.
did you know that in 2006, actually 2003,
Do you know what year?
it was 2003.
Okay.
2006 was something else that I was getting ahead of myself. But in 2003, there was actually an opera based on the Jerry Springer show.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew that? It's a parody, obviously. And I'm saying 2003 because that was when it debuted, but it was 2006 when it actually toured all around the UK.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No.
So it debuted in London, but then I guess it was a hit, so they started touring all over the UK in 2006.
Oh, wow.
It was
go on.
very controversial.
Were it?
Yes.
Were it like the stage Jerry Springer? Like there were people battling and stuff? Or
It wasn't
what?
necessarily like that. It's an opera version, so it had a cast of characters such as God and Satan, and it was very controversial. So a lot of Christian groups tried to also shut that production down, which I don't know. I haven't watched any of it. I don't know what went on, but get this, however long an opera lasts, I don't know, is it 45 or 2 segments of 45, maybe 90 minutes total? I don't know. I know the operas have an intermission, right?
Sometimes they have 2.
So however long this opera lasted, it contained over 8,000 expletives. Obscenities. 8,000.
That's a lot.
So it debuted in 2003, toured in 2006, and it became, Las Vegas was the first city that welcomed it over here in the U.S., but I don't think it lasted long. It was just
Do you know what it was called? Was that The Ringmaster? Because I'm sure they did a show, like a little, I don't know if
that was his movie. Jerry Springer starred in his own movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
No, this was called Jerry Springer, the Opera. Yes.
Jerry.
When it came to Vegas, it was short-lived, I believe. It came to Vegas. It was the only American city that welcomed this very...
place for gambling, so they took a chance, right?
It was the only place that welcomed this expletive-filled opera, and Harvey Keitel played Jerry Springer in that production.
In the one in Vegas?
In a New York City version of it. Huh. Yeah. But then I think it was short-lived because I don't think they toured or anything like that. I didn't even know that it existed until I started looking up this stuff.
Well,
you Londoners.
Jerry. That's pretty cool.
So, what have we learned, Edith? Edith likes drama. Thuy does not.
Is that what we learned?
Yeah. Edith is attracted to drama and trash TV, and trash TV gives Thuy anxiety.
So there you have it, folks. Trash TV is not for Thuy.
Well, I want to know how many people out there are fans or actually like watching the Jerry Springer show.
Or liked. It is no longer on air.
Well, I guess.
No reruns or anything. They've all been cancelled now.
Really?
They're all done, yeah. That happened, maybe 7 months after he passed.
Oh.
It's all finished from CW to...
You
won't see it on TV anymore.
His daughter could get royalties. His grandbaby.
From the reruns?
Yeah.
Not anymore. It's all over and done with, unfortunately.
Right.
But I'm sure I watched every single one of them anyway.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah. But we were talking about the woman who ended up being murdered. There's been another show, another trash TV show, as you would say, where some guy professed his love to another guy on the stage, and then this guy ended up shooting him. Later on, went out and shot him to death. So it's not only Jerry Springer that it happened on. I'm not certain what show that was.
Right, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what it was. Whether it were a Maury or I don't know whose show it was.
Right.
But that happened.
Right.
So, it's not just Mr. Springer. I know the son of the woman who passed away was very upset that Jerry didn't talk about it, or like when the cameras went around to him and asked him about these people the woman that had died, he said it had nothing to do with the show. Like he's sorry for the loss, but
right,
it's not on him or his show. I mean, it's not it. And what do you think? Would you think that it would be on the production team, the show, for one guy's actions after he appeared on there, I mean, it wasn't even, the lawyer was saying that he'd gone over to the house, she told him to do one, and he went to a bar. And while he was at the bar, the episode of him being on stage with his two women came on. So he's drinking, getting drunk, and watching this show. And
Right.
she said that he actually said at the bar he's gonna kill her. So, I mean, he's drinking, he's watching the show, he's
Right.
watching himself on the show,
Right.
and these women, and then he went and did that. So, I mean, I don't know. You can't blame somebody else for your actions. You do what you want to do. You're gonna
Right.
do what you're gonna
Right.
do.
Yeah, you can't blame like a show, and that's, I mean, I could see how like maybe producers or something might feel like bad about it, but it's
Yeah.
not their, it's ultimately the responsibility of the person that did the
The
deed.
deed, right?
That's horrible,
It is horrible.
because people are, they're going to do
Horrible.
what they're going
People
to
are
do
horrible.
anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to do what they're going to do anyways.
Mhm.
If they're going to hurt someone, they're going to hurt someone.
Mhm.
It's
And
just
he's
a
hurt
matter
her
of,
before, twice
Right.
before. What we know of. It's unfortunate.
but I want to know if our viewers, what they think of the Springer show, and if they can separate that from Jerry Springer, the man, you know, because he did seem like a very relatable person.
Mhm.
That was one thing about meeting him, was I was very down to earth, and he just seemed cool. He wasn't full of himself.
Even on the show, he was cool, not full of himself.
Yeah, he didn't get
He
riled
was-
up himself, right?
He did. On a couple of them, he did. Like,
Emotional.
you could see it with the Klansmen, like when he was talking to the Klansmen, and they were saying obviously the racist comments that they were saying, and obviously he's a Jew, so like this guy stood up and he's talking about Jews and all everybody, and Jerry says, let's just see what these people have to say, because obviously you're stupid. I remembered him saying that to one of the guests,
Right.
which was, it's like, yeah, he's dumb. He always said it as it was, did Jerry? He didn't pull no punches.
Right, he was pretty
just-
honest.
yeah.
Whether you agreed with him or not, whatever, but he
Yes.
was pretty honest.
Mhm.
So that is, yeah. So, you know, he originally, I'm trying to wrap it up and stuff, but he originally did have obviously higher aspirations. He wanted to be in the political field,
Yeah.
and his undergrad was, I believe, political science at Tulane, which is
He used to be an anchorman in Cincinnati.
Mhm.
He used to be on the TV, do a news show, and then after that he'd go and do his Jerry Springer show on a night. So he'd do the news in the daytime, and then on a night time he'd go and do the Jerry Springer show when it first started out.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Edith,
Well, Thuy.
I would love for viewers to chime in on their opinions of the various topics that we
Discuss.
Yeah. Can you please let them know where they can find you and write to you?
You can write to me at 1923. Oh, no, sorry. We are going to be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, pretty much any major listening platform or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
See you next
Bye.
time.
If you had fun listening today, please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel.